So if you'll please join me in welcoming Steve Curtis, founder of Zendtalks.
Okay, get rid of those tears. There's like 6 moments of gratitude tears. How's this? Are we good? Are we okay? Yeah, hey, we're out here. Be calm. First, I just really want to say thank you to all of you for coming here. This is a really big moment for me. I've shared my story a lot before, but actually getting to a place where we're now interacting with people and helping to create change in personal lives and health outcomes is a whole other thing. And I was going to do a bunch of prep for tonight, but I thought, you know, the room will just speak, and it'll just come clear on what we need to talk about. And of course, Dr. Nima did this beautiful video, which I watched and said, okay, I don't need to talk. I said everything I need to. But it really is such an honor to be so welcomed. I mean, I know many faces in the room, and it means so much to be supported by you guys. Tonight I'm going to share a couple things. Dr. Nima will speak, and then we'll do a Q&A. The topic that we're talking about is a really charged topic. I mean, my personal experience is cancer. And when people hear that word, everybody in the room has a different experience. Some are like, yeah, we need to create change around that. Some are like, I feel like leaving. Some don't know what to feel. We've all been touched by cancer in some way. Some of us think of cancer as a mind-body thing, some of us think of it as a genetic thing, some of us think that no one should talk about it except people with white coats that have been in school for 12 years. So it's a highly charged thing. No matter what someone says about cancer, there will always be people that react a little bit negatively to it, which is why it's nice to have such a room with so many friends. I really welcome your feedback after. If something I've said tonight or Dr. Nima or anybody has said has triggered you in some way, ask a question at the end. Bring the question up and challenge us. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, Byron, come talk to me. Because these are my experiences and these are truths that I've gathered from around the world, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's your truth. And there's lots of room for debate and discussion and learning around those things. Is that good? Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So the video, just checking in. How many people in here identify generally with the philosophy that was communicated about cancer and illness? So most. Some not sure. Good. Okay. Good. No pressure. And how many people who identify with some of the darkness I spoke about in my life and some of the feelings I had and how I coped with them? Okay, almost everybody, except the same people who didn't raise their hands. You're just non-responsive. So, in the video I said, I kind of ended with this topic of what is cancer. It's a really interesting question because medicine has done a really great job at defining cancer as this thing. The way cells behave together in aggregate. This idea that particular cells in the body get out of control and they keep replicating. And when we focused on genetics, it was really clear. It was a cell that divided and the genes didn't copy properly, and it either grew really quick or didn't die, or grew really quick and didn't die, which made these really aggressive, fast-moving cancers. And then came along epigenetics. And epigenetics made things a lot more complicated. It's like, so you can have a gene there, but it doesn't show up. And we're not really sure why. Well, what are some of the reasons why it might not show up? Well, something to do with the environment. What does that mean? Well, it could be a virus or bacteria or chemistry, like inflammation or particular hormones, neuropeptides, or chemistry particularly of a way of thought. And this is really complicated for people to understand. Because it's a big leap, and it's a highly charged idea to say that the way that we think and the way that we live can directly relate to not only the illnesses we get, but whether we live or die from them. And we're working through some of this stuff with the book. People say, oh, your book isn't published yet. I wrote it, I finished it about a year ago, and this past year has been all business focused. So we're just now getting this place to go with it. And the publishers are like, you can't say that. Well, why can't we say that? Because people will take it personally. That's exactly what we want them to do. No, they're going to get angry. Well, I know, but that's what we need to do. For me, this isn't about making money. This isn't about making friends. This is about sharing the truth. The truth that trillions of dollars around the world are invested each year to teach us to believe that we are powerless in our health, that we need these interventions, that we need to buy pills or take surgery or radiation or chemotherapy or whatever that may be. And the reality is very different. We are also convinced that we have this thing called genetic susceptibility. And there is some truth to that, but actually there's a lot less than we think. And it's a fairly complicated topic, it's in my book, if you're curious. All the proceeds from the book, by the way, don't go to me, they go to Supporting the Lounge, as a charitable organization. So it's really about us getting that word out. What I thought I would share with you today is a couple of viewpoints around how illness can emerge in our life, and a way that all of us can think about our life to determine how likely we are to experience illness, and then also to think about some of the other people in our lives that may be experiencing illness and starting to have a little bit of a new viewpoint on how they experience things. How does that sound? Do a little bit of that? Okay. So, in the video I talked about quality of life, like 30 days or 29 days out of 30 being really terrible and unhappy. And I talked about in this transition to healing how those terrible days became good days to the point that my life was absolutely amazing every day. And for some of us, that's kind of a hard thing to imagine. Others are like, it is amazing all the day. Some of us know what amazing is, some of us don't. And so, one of the very interesting things that we find when we talk to people that are sick, whether it's MS or IBS or ALS, or some type of cancer or autoimmune illness, any kind, is that there's usually a lot of discomfort in their life. Not from the illness, but before the illness. Something that emerges that creates this dissatisfaction. And I think about it on this scale of, let's see, so this will be love life and hate life. I think everybody we know, we can probably categorize to the people that, you know, it's just like poor me all the time. Why does this happen? You know, sometimes I don't want to live. It's terrible. And then you have people that are just on cloud nine all the time, right? Right? We can think about that spectrum, and in this room we probably have a pretty big range. I won't ask you to raise your hand because no one's ever honest in a group. Maybe this group, I don't know. We also have stress. So this is a high stress life, and this is a low stress life. So two separate things. There's how much we love and appreciate our life, and how much stress we have. And these kind of form into zones. So we say, like, this is about the worst place you can get. Absolutely crushing stress all the time. Can't even get out of your house and absolutely don't want to live. So if we say this is sort of 5, this is what I call the danger zone for illness. If you're in this place where you experience these things, any kind of range in here, you are very much at risk to become sick from some kind of thing. And when we look at people who get diagnosed with illness, we usually find that they went through periods before getting sick where they lived in that zone for an extended period of time. And so if you find yourself in that zone, it's the perfect time to start thinking about how to get out of that zone. The good news is you can. And we'll talk a little bit, Dr. Neem will talk a little bit about that today. So here's kind of this like careful zone, which is maybe about 7. And here's this optimal zone, which is sort of, let's say, like the 8 to 10 zone. With this place that's maybe like Buddha or something. Buddha never has stress and he loves his life over time. It's all great, right? So here we get sick, here we have propensity to be sick, here we have a pretty good life, and this is the zone that when we're sick and we want to become well, we have to achieve. Because we kind of build up these patterns.
So it's about making these contextual shifts in our life that allow us to achieve a place of well-being and happiness and appreciation for life. One of the craziest things when I meet people that are sick with something, and you ask them in a group, like, how do you feel about life? And they say, great, I'm sick, but I really want to get the most of this. And you ask them, like, do you want to live? They say yes. And you take everybody out of the room, you pull them aside, and you ask them the question, okay, so just you and I, nobody else listening, one person to another who's been through this experience, honestly, how much do you love your life? Do you really want to live? And there's usually this emotional context that comes around, and they come to this conclusion pretty quick that they didn't want to admit it because of all the people in their life and the people that are around them, but they don't want to. And they can't give up because they let down the people that they love and that they care about, but they're in this zone, and they may even be in this zone. And so our work in becoming well is really shifting our expression of life, which is really a choice. Any questions about this real quick before I jump to the next thing? I'm going to move really fast tonight, and we'll talk about how we can learn a little bit more about this stuff. But I want to show you one of the reasons why this happens. So, who's familiar with circadian rhythm and sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system? So, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Fight or flight, yes? Everybody knows fight or flight. So, if a big tiger, we both have tigers in common as our metaphor. If a big tiger came in here, and sorry, you're closest to the door, so you get eaten first. Ate him, real quick, you just bit him. Everybody would be pretty nervous, right? So you go from this relaxed place, maybe we're somewhere in the middle right now, to like, oh my God, there's a tiger in the room. You're like ready to go. You're pounced. Your immune system is active. You're engaged. So theoretically, the tiger does what you need to do. You get out, you get safe, you calm down, you come back to this place of rest. But in our society, it's so complicated. There's so many factors. I mean, our phone's beeping, we turn it on, it's got text messages all around the clock, emails, all these expectations. If you're in business, you have globalization, you have currency flux, like these things you just can't control. And they really drive your outcome and your livelihood. We get stuck in this place where it's like this. We're always on. Where we're supposed to be is this place where we move from fight or flight, or let's say a neutral place, we move into fight or flight, we kind of have our activity through the day, there's some up and down. And then at night we find this place of rest, and then we become active again, and we come down. And so it's this balance. So we can do what we need to do actively on a daily basis, and then we move into this place where we have peace. And someone asked me, well, what's the significance of that? It's kind of like thinking about Vancouver if nobody collected the garbage for like 4 months. That's our bodies, for some of us, that can't find that place of peace. And so when we look at the quality of our life, this experience of being always on has all kinds of drain. Inflammatory cytokines come up. We don't absorb our food. The immune system is suppressed. We create these experiences that naturopaths define as leaky gut. Well, what does that mean exactly? It means your body's falling apart. And if there's always tigers chasing you, that makes a little bit of sense, right? So, what do we do about it? This is really a core question. For some of us that are identifying with being in that always on state, and maybe identifying with the place in our life where we experience unhappiness and are not enjoying our life, how do we change that? I haven't named this model yet, but it's how I see the world. So we have this timeline continuum, and this is where Nima and I met. I actually met Nima through Ashley, who said there was a guy who wanted to come to the lounge and cure cancer like real time in the crowd. I was like, she's like, it's Talking Tuesday. I said, well, let's hold the show on that, because I don't know that that's possible. I mean, I'm open to it, but let's spend some time together first. I talked to him, he's like, no, I got out of context. how easy things can get out of context when we're dealing with highly charged things, right? But what we spoke about was this ability to look to a future place and look to the past and create changes. And what he described to me was very similar to what I found in my book, what I wrote, and what I found through this experience of healing. And so we spent some time, we decided to do an event which he'll talk about when he gets up. But my model for thinking about this world is, so we have somebody who is sick and dying of terminal cancer, like me, and any kind of illness actually. It could be other people in the room. It could be anxiety. It could be depression. It could be chronic fatigue. It could be IBS. Any kind of these physical symptoms. I mean, everybody in the room has coped with one of those at one time or more. And it could be even colds that come too frequently like me. These are kind of the warning signs of our body is not in alignment with our mind and our heart. And so we have this place where we're experiencing these things. Our first challenge is to envision a life without it. So that zone that we drew in that box, that place where I wake up every day, and yeah, I live a stressful life, but I actually feel capable of dealing with it. I feel comfortable of embracing the challenges in my life. I feel surrounded by amazing people. I feel a gratitude for everything that I experience. All the things that go wrong, I actually realize there are opportunities to become more into my right, into the things that my heart calls for. So this place of peace that seems so elusive for many of us, at times including me. Some of the people that are close to me know that. We go through life changes. And so it's setting this vision to here. What most people miss when they set their vision is that the past actually matters. So if this is the future, this is the now, right here, this is the past, who we are today is a direct correlation with who we are in the past. For anybody that's done self-help work, Landmark is great. What happened? What's your story? Who's done Landmark, just to see? So you're gonna get what I mean. So this sick person had this experience. So for me, the life that I was experiencing with cancer is that everybody is out to judge me all the time. And if they judge me as not being capable or competent, then I will be alone, and it will feel like the pain of my childhood, and it was really painful. So I have to get away from it all the time. I always have to be perfect in everybody else's mind. I have to work harder, smarter, faster, more wow all the time. And if I don't, then it will be a really painful life. That sounds like a pretty stressful place, right? That kind of made me in that lower part of the box. I would say like a 2. And so no surprise that an illness emerges from that. So when I worked through cancer, I set this vision, which pretty much is today. You know, some of the big mountains survive the prognosis, cancer goes away, write a book, start sharing with people, teach other people how to do the same thing. That was the vision. And where I very quickly got to as I tried to achieve that vision was I could only do it if I rewrote the past. It's like, how do you change the past? You can't actually change the past, but you can change the way that you think about it. So for me, and it came up in the video, you see with Bryce, the work that Dr. Nina did, it's like, here's this terrible event. So for me, it was like, you heard me talk about in the video, getting kicked out of school and being alone for this whole time. Well, that actually made some really awesome things in my life. I became very bright, and I became very independent. And my mom, who didn't give the love that I needed to feel safe and healthy in those days, was just doing her best. She couldn't rescue me because she was doing her best. It's not like I'm unworthy of love. So it's this recontextualization of, well, actually, I was a really smart kid, and mom was a really awesome mom. And yeah, some of that stuff hurt, but that was back then. I didn't know how to deal with that. And today is a very different day. I can communicate and ask for help and interrelate with people. And so it creates this shift, this moment of gratitude, which allows me to shift that future state. So these changes that we all struggle with, these things that are inside, and I talked about it like demons when how many people here meditate just to see? Okay, hey, that's awesome. How many people have challenges meditating sometimes? Okay, almost the same amount of people. Me too, of course. for me, the meditation was so hard to just find this place of peace because these things, this reality that was causing the illness was so prevalent. It was everything about the way in which I lived my life. And I think this is what so many people struggle with. All of us could say at times we're less than a 10 out of 10, less than that epic Buddhahood state. I think everybody in the room is qualified. There might be a hidden Buddha here. Any hidden Buddhas? Oh, we got one. Okay, good. Good. Party at your house later? So creating these shifts is really what we want to do. And for me, this is so clear. I mean, those of you that have heard me talk before, it's not just like some guy just, magically gets better and has an experience. It was hundreds of books, thousands of papers, hundreds of professionals, conferences, meeting with researchers in the bowels of pharma companies and understanding what they do. And it's really wild when you hire like a CTO from a pharma company who gets paid $800,000 a year, who's never used a pharmaceutical because he thinks that there's no truth to it. It's like, you have like 1,100 scientists reporting to you and you don't use any of the things you make because you don't believe in it. It's really amazing when you get out there and you read and you learn about the fiction that we live in our medical system. And this is the kind of stuff that puts people like me and Dr. Nima, we're not there yet, but we will be soon, I'm sure, on Quackwatch. Anyone ever seen Quackwatch? It's like those people. Whatever. And that's actually why today is so significant, because it's the first step to start saying, like, here's about changes we can make.